Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. If you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a movie, and that movie is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Witness me, Gooch.
I see
Witness
you.
me.
I see you. Where's your?
I know. I didn't do the whole. I was thinking about doing it.
You forgot your spray.
I did my whole spray.
I left my spray back at what's it called? What's their base called?
I
left it back at the base.
Oh fuck! I
That's
can't
what I was
remember.
gonna say. It's all
The
right.
Morton Joe's place.
Yeah, a Morton Joe's place.
A Morton Joe's spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how we got an origin to how they paint themselves white. Apparently, in this, if I'm remembering correctly, they pour oil in the sand and then they wipe the guy down. It's like war boy paint. Anyways, Gooch. How you doing? It's been a while since I've actually seen this movie. I'm not gonna lie. We're talking about Mad Max.
I was gonna say I feel like this is the first movie we have been not just 2 weeks late, but
yeah, we're behind
a month late, and that really is my fault.
It's okay.
Movie came out Memorial Day weekend. We had a wedding that weekend, but you still managed. I
squeezed it in, yeah.
And then I was like, dude, I have no free time, so I started a new job, and in between. The week in between my old job and my new job, I got out to the theater on a Wednesday night in the smallest theater that Regal Edgemont can muster with maybe 6 other people and saw Furiosa with my girlfriend. And I liked it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with it. I think my problem with it is just like any good sequel.
Sure.
It's just yeah, I remember when we got Mad Max and that was new and fresh and I never had seen Mad Max before, not a Mad Max fan, never seen anything like this.
I haven't seen the old
movies. That was such a novel moment for cinema, I feel, that that nonstop kinetic adrenaline action, and Furiosa is that taken down a few notches, and it's just I've seen this before. And
sure.
I think I've seen it a bit better with Fury Road.
Right.
So I think that's my only gripe with it. It's just yeah, Fury Road was kind of better.
Sure.
So and I don't necessarily know if I cared about Furiosa as a character until watching this movie.
Sure.
Not Fury Road, but Furiosa. Right. So I'm oh, okay, now I'm supposed to care about Furiosa. When watching Mad Max, I don't know if I really cared about any of these characters.
Sure.
They were just kind of, there.
Right.
And they're servicing the action and maybe the plot a little bit.
No, absolutely.
But they're kind of making, they're starting to build up to, we want the audience to care about not only the high octaneness of this, but the characters in it. And I think they successfully do that, especially with Dementis. Hard not to like Dementis. Love seeing Chris Hemsworth, typically, you see him in Thor be a villain and not like Thor at all. But Trio, like you said, you saw it opening weekend. It's been a little bit
for
you.
IMAX, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. What'd you think?
So I got to say, I think you're hitting on a lot of the points that I completely agree with. And I do think this one does a better job of focusing in on the lore of the universe, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Which I really liked, actually.
Yeah.
I liked the beginning shot of... Apparently, it's always been kind of, what's the word, implied that it's in Australia, but at the beginning of this, it's here's the Earth,
let's go to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit of fun. They lean into the...
which is cool. We're
the
seeing
History Man and stuff like that.
George Miller's Australian?
Yeah.
We're seeing a very cultural kind of movie in a weird sort of way. We are.
Well, Chris
100%.
Hemsworth, I think he said in an interview, I thought it was
he's Australian
cool
too.
He's Australian. He was England has Lord of the Rings, America has I can't remember, Star Wars, and we have and Australians have Mad Max. This is one of our cultural touchstones.
Anya Taylor-Joy's American, right?
No, I think she's British, or maybe she is American. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're actually right. I think she is American.
Yeah.
But I really liked the lore building and world building aspects of this movie so much that I was fine with leaving the super kinetic stuff behind, because I still think there's some really amazing action scenes in this, especially with some of those, not the pole vaulters. What do they start? Oh, the paragliders and stuff. There's some interesting new ideas where I was I was like, how do you make this new? And I'm like, oh, that's how. That's very cool. But
They fly now.
they fly. It's definitely, it doesn't keep going like in the way Fury Road does, and that is just one long continuous chase, of course. But
Right.
I liked seeing the history,
Not a lot of
man.
dialogue,
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I kind of liked seeing the broader wasteland, and Gastown was interesting, and even the Bullet Farm, which we didn't get to check out in the last movie. It just felt like Miller wanted to really sit down and flesh out more of the lore in this one, and this is the most directly, as I understand it anyways, connected sequel of like a Mad Max movie.
So, like, is anything in these two movies, Fury Road and Furiosa, from the originals? Like,
No,
anything?
there's like references and stuff. So the idea with the original three, from what I understood, is they're like vaguely connected, but the idea is they're kind of these mythological legends that are told throughout the waste, and it might have not exactly happened like that. And they lean into it hard with the ending of this, with like how they treat Dementis, and they're like, oh, maybe
Right,
it's just
right.
the,
Like the
like the
legend.
legend of it all. And
Yeah.
these
and
are
then here's Fury Road. Right?
exactly.
Right.
So but Fury Road kind of does. It's the idea is the same thing, because like Max and that, there's a lot of weird discrepancies. Like he seems to know the old world, but he's really young. And there's like these old women in that are like, we remember it forever ago, and they're like 86, but he somehow remembers it, and he's like 30. So I don't really
Yeah.
there's a bit of inconsistency in that regard, but yeah, man, overall I thought it was really great. I didn't expect to spend as much time with Anya as we did. She was only in it for about half the movie.
I thought the pacing was very strange. And going into what your point, I'm like, we're spending a lot of time with young Furiosa, not Anya Taylor-Joy Furiosa.
And there was that kind of I think they took the transition and made it something very interesting in the way of like, you don't really almost know when it switches to Furiosa. I feel like
It's Anya Taylor-Joy.
it's Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, because they definitely bring in like they have a really young Furiosa actor. Then I think they have like a teenage one, and then it goes into Anya Taylor-Joy.
Young adult, yeah.
And the switch is very organic. Like I think it works very well. I see what you mean with the pacing stuff. It worked for me in a weird way though. I don't know why.
Me and Kathy were talking like after we saw this, and I was like, I hate like there's a lot of time jumping.
Sure.
And I was getting really confused about like how much time was elapsing, and like how things were like progressing, and like there's that one scene where he like after which I need you to explain, because me and Kathy got
Sure.
into like a mini like spat about this. I was like, what the like this doesn't make any sense. Sure. So after Furiosa, like she gets to Immortan Joe, Dementis sells her, and she like escapes from Rectus. What's his
Rictus.
name?
Rictus and Scrotus.
Scrotus. Yeah, Rictus.
What happened to Scrotus in Fury Road, Gooch? Tell me, is he safe? I don't know. But yeah.
So yeah, like, and he's chasing her, and the seed. No, okay. So
Yeah.
she throws her hair
Right.
off the thing, and it gets caught in the tree, which I thought the seed was in.
Yeah.
So
it is.
okay, it was.
It was. Yes. That's why the tree grows out of it.
So we're okay, right? But it lands also on a branch.
Right.
Where
it
does the
land
other
on-
seed come from?
Maybe she doesn't have the seed then. Maybe
Right.
or maybe she has the seed and that just is on. I didn't think about that, and it's on top of a tree. But if it's a broken tree branch, why did it start growing again then?
Right.
So that would lead me to believe the
the
seed
seed
is
was in
it.
her hair. So okay, so that grows, and it's like like me and Kathy were talking about this. I'm like, well, like how long does it take a tree to grow? And it's probably, I guess, probably like a while.
Yeah.
So then she's kind of like disguised as a dude in like one of the mechanics
For a while.
Nobody seems to care that she's gone.
So that-
and then she reappears, and they're like, oh, like, hey,
Well,
hey,
that was
like
so-
to Immortan Joe, and I didn't understand like what was going on there.
That was a problem that I had with the Immortan Joe stuff, because in Fury Road, especially because I went back and watched Fury Road like directly after this,
Nice.
and I'm playing the game right now, which I've been loving, and he's like, "Where are my wives?" Like those
Right.
are his like he is in it. Like
right,
he
and I'm
needs
like,
his
he just
wives.
suddenly doesn't care.
And then, well, he seems to
Like,
kind of
nobody
care,
does.
but then once like this one escapes, you would kind of expect that to go, maybe a plot line to go with Rictus, and maybe like there'd be some tension with him and Immortan Joe. But like, you're right, they don't mention it at all. She hides as a man. She shows up later, but like I think it's reasonable to assume that they don't understand that those two are the same people. Like they'd have no idea. Like it was just this little girl that escaped, and like she could have came back, but. I agree with you in the way of like a Morton, that plot line just seems to kind of just wither away. There seems to be something that should be coming out of it.
Yeah. So like the pacing along with the time jumps, it made the movie feel really like uncohesive in terms of like following the narrative. And you know what's funny? This is a weird one. I just watched Pride and Prejudice with Kathy because that was like one of her favorite movies, and we were watching it. And there's a lot of time jumps in that, years, and like days and weeks and months. And I'm just like, how the fuck would you even know? Like, there's no like, and it's happening a lot. And I'm just like, it's jarring to be like, hear a line of dialogue, and somebody implies that like time has passed, and it's like.
Well, I think sometimes like
if there were seasons and like a change in seasons, it would easily
you want
imply
more
that.
hard like
I think you just get like if it happens more than a few times, it's easy to get lost in the sauce about like the chronology of a movie, and like this goes for like anything, games.
Totally.
Like it's just like you don't even get like this movie gets split up into like hard acts, which I find interesting.
Sure.
Is Fury Road like that? I've only seen Fury Road one time, so it's been a minute.
I feel like I'm trying to think of where I would break
does
it
it
up
come
into
up?
3 acts.
Here's the Act 1 name.
Oh
like,
no,
yeah.
that seems to be a big, a lately thing. Like Tarantino started doing that a while back.
Yeah,
and now I feel like everyone's kind of doing it
with Justice League.
There was another movie I feel like I just watched on Netflix too recently that was doing it. Like I feel like a lot of movies are kind of doing that to.
Anyway,
either way, no, but I do think there's definitely like 3 acts. I'm trying to because there's the initial chase scene where like Max gets captured and then they're chasing down Furiosa, and then he gets out and there's that break and then they finally get away for the second part of the chase. Then they get to the valley, destroy that. Get away from that. It's all just breaking up of the chase. So I think it's much less clean compared to what this one's doing. But it's funny because I didn't find the like time jumps that jarring. I thought it was actually, done pretty organically. Especially with how they apparently they used CGI on the younger actors too to make them look more Anya Taylor-Joy-y. And I don't know if they used straight up Charlize Theron's voice at one point. I think they did for the last line.
I mean, there's
showing
literal clips from Fury Road.
No, but I thought was weird at the end. It was
yeah,
like the
I
weird
thought that was
I'm like, why
strange.
are we doing this?
Yeah. But like
that felt like an afterthought that the studio came in and were like, put this in.
Do you think you could see this movie without Fury Road and kind of
100%?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it works. I think you could watch this and then watch Fury Road. I mean, it basically leads almost directly into it.
Right.
And even Fury Road, Furiosa is the main character of that movie. Like, she absolutely is. She has the most lines. She has the most agency. Max is kind of dealing with the ghosts of his past that you don't quite understand, that sort of link to the other movies, but don't really. And again, that kind of comes back to the idea of that these movies are much more flowy and not necessarily connected. They're just supposed to be kind of single. Almost think of like it. I feel like the first 3 Indiana Jones,
like anthology.
Yeah, but
almost.
Even Indiana Jones is more connected than the first 3 Mad Maxes. The first Mad Max, the whole post-apocalypse thing, you wouldn't even know if you watched the movie. It's a total afterthought. They were like, "This is a post-apocalypse." Like he's like a cop in like a neighborhood. You don't even know what's going on. But I do think overall they kind of pace her out well, especially when you get to other Mad Max in this. I thought that whole stretch with him is great.
Why did he Mad Max? Driver?
Yeah, he's just Mad Max. It felt like it was so very odd, but I liked him a lot. I liked that character.
I felt like I couldn't tell I thought there again the time. So here's another indication of a time jump. Like they do that first ride where and they use the Bobby knocker. And they get out of there, and everyone's dead besides them two. And it's like, I need a new crew. I'm gonna take you under my wing and train you. And then immediately in the next scene, it's like, oh, I guess we just skipped all that. We didn't get a montage or an indication that Furiosa has been under his wing for X amount of time. And I'm just like, what the fuck just happened?
Right. Again, that I just lent into it oh, she's in it now. I don't know. I didn't really even think about it.
I just needed some sort of indication that
makes sense.
Time had passed or
to me, that felt almost directly after. I thought that was almost her first mission right after. He's like, I need, you handled yourself well. I need more crew because everyone just died on my crew. Now you're on the crew. And now they start going with it because there's some, I think the more major time jumps are after Dementis gives her to Immortan Joe, who, by the way, that actor who played him isn't the same one from Mad Max. He died.
I know.
and he did a great job. I mean, for what little he does. Again, I do think he's like weirdly kind of just chopped at the knees in this one. Like, he doesn't seem nearly as intimidating or scary.
No,
especially watching
no.
Fury Road again, which is very odd. But yeah, like you said, man, Hemsworth's Dementis is some of the most fun I've had watching a movie in a while. Genuinely, like I've seen this online. The idea I guess Miller was going for was like he's the mirror image of Mad Max or of Max, that like he lost his family but he went the other way. And I think that's an interesting idea, and the whole kind of visual of him with the teddy bear on his belt, and then he has the white cape that gets drenched in the red, the sky blood. I love all the terms in this, Gooch, and just all the looks of it. Like stupid people like Scrotus and Rictus. That shouldn't probably work, but it does, and it's hilarious.
I mean, a Morton Joe, like it's so goofy.
Apparently, and it's funny because I was looking up, like, there's actually a good bit more lore to this than I realized. Like, I guess the idea was he was a general before the war, and
Morton Joe.
Yeah, I think his name was Joe, Joe something. But before like the oil wars happened, and then society collapses. And Dr. Dementis he's Dr. Dementis in the game. It's so funny how many I've talked about this before, but of the unused concepts from these movies were put into that game. Like Scrotus is the main bad guy. They talk about a Morton. You don't see a Morton Joe, but he's talked about in the codexes a lot. He's called Dr. D. Dr. Dementis is mentioned a bunch. They were gonna originally film this at the same time as Fury Road, but I mean, you heard about like the shit between Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, right?
No.
Yeah, they did not get along on set.
Really?
Yeah, like apparently he was just a bit of a handful, and like
Tom Hardy,
he like apologized for it on like the press tour, and he was talking about like I just didn't know what George was doing, and I was getting frustrated every day, and we were just shooting these random weird scenes, and I didn't quite understand where the story was going. I have 10 lines, and I was getting a bit frustrated, and apparently there was like an incident on set where he showed up like 2 hours late.
So he's getting upset because he's sort of like top billing in a way. But like he has like 10 lines.
A little. I think that was less of it. More that he was like, I just don't. He said this. He's like, I was young and dumb at the time. I didn't really understand what what we were doing story wise.
Yeah, I mean that was like
and they were spending hours in these. Yeah.
Shortly after Dark Knight Returns, I feel like Tom Hardy got known for Bane.
Yeah.
And then like probably like 1 or 2 films after
even
that,
his indistinguishable accent, and that like what accent does he have in Mad Max Gooch in Fury Road? If you go back and watch that, it's the funniest fucking thing ever.
So somebody chimed in on our chat. Charlize Theron apparently has a lot of history of not getting along with other cast members. That's interesting.
I didn't know that. So that would make sense. But apparently, as the story goes, if I remember correctly, he showed up really late on set one day, and she like started yelling like, "Find this motherfucker for every hour he's been late." Supposedly defending the crew, being like, "We've been sitting here for hours trying to get work done. He hasn't showed up," and he like charged her and like got in her face and like said something. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but then she had to have like a staffer on set with her. She wanted like a security person around her at all times with him on set. So, and I guess they're good. They're friends now or something. Like they've worked everything out. But yeah, I think that partly was the reason why they didn't get to film the Furiosa part of it. But also, he's not. Maybe he was more involved in the Furiosa of it before that.
Film the Furiosa part of it for Furiosa?
Yes. So
Charlize Theron did want to come back?
Well, the original plan was that they were going to film Fury Road and Furiosa at the same time, a la like your Lord of the Rings.
Right.
They just did Fury Road, and there was a bunch of, production issues on that. I believe it took like years for that to come out, almost in the same way this did, but it wasn't the same exact production issues. We talked about like his
money
dispute with the money, and they had a lawsuit going on, which was later worked out.
He being George Miller.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing, and I don't know. The first movie, like we'll talk. I mean, we can talk about it now. I guess the box office was not great for this.
Yeah,
movie.
I feel like we have to talk about this.
And it was on a note like it's a Memorial Day weekend. That's a weekend to release movies.
So I would debate it's not.
I know you would, but like I can tell you conclusively that's not how it goes. Like prior years, Memorial Day weekend is the expected weekend to do well. Like that's so, like notable.
So we've been talking a lot about this in Discord, especially like the first week or two it came out, and we were seeing the numbers and like how it was reviewing excellently, but money wise not doing well. So like Top Gun Maverick, I think that was the last big blockbuster that came out around this time. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick came out the week before Memorial Day, so it kind of had that jump. And I feel like when I think about movies and when people are going to see movies, like Memorial Day is the kickoff to summer, right? So a lot of people are doing things, and like I feel like the last thing on the docket list is going to the movies when it's like not super hot out,
Right.
especially in our area. You know, people are going to the shore, people are going to the mountains, people are like doing shit. So the idea, like, it's not like Christmas where it's cold and you can only do so many things. I feel like
Right.
Christmas is just a classic, like, go to the movies time of year. So like that's what I was kind of using. I'm like, well, yeah, it makes sense because like the word of mouth and the hype hadn't come out yet. And then a lot of people just didn't. Maybe this year was just one of those years. Not a lot of people went to the movies, and then like it. I don't know how often a second week the movie does better. I don't think that's
It's rare. It's
Right,
more
right.
you measure the drop. You measure by the drop off. So I think a normal drop off's like 50%.
Yeah. So the fact that this movie did poorly, I'm like, it's done.
Yeah,
It's done.
And,
And
again,
like,
I would
and
just rebuke that by saying historically that is incorrect.
Okay.
That's like based off of numbers.
Sure.
Like it could be how it's going now, and maybe we're trending that way. But like throughout the years of movies releasing, that seemed to be the time, one of the times to do it.
Right.
And maybe that's shifting, but I think a lot of people are shifting away from going to see movies at the theaters for a multitude of different reasons. I think, namely, being it's a lot of money to bring a family, let alone like yourself, let alone a family to the movies. And then the movie's gonna,
Furiosa family movie,
yeah,
Inside
of course,
Out 2,
classically family
forget
movie.
about it.
But like, and it's also that everyone knows these movies are going to be out on streaming within a month, and the big ones maybe like Dune was 2 to 3 months.
Yeah,
It used to be a year.
So
Like it before you would be able to get
we're
like shit
we're
like
like
that.
a month post release, pretty much.
It's
So
mostly
like
out of
by the
theaters,
time
it's
this
out of
releases,
IMAX.
which is going to be the next day after we recorded this, I'm curious. Like again, like I had a hard time finding showtimes. I mean, weekdays are a bit different, but like
No,
there weren't like a ton of options for showtimes during the week when I saw it, and I was just like, fuck, dude, it's already like out the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so basically what I'm saying is like, I don't know if like once this review comes out, like you'll be able to actually go see it.
Yeah.
Like I know a few movies have come out since then, like I mentioned Inside Out 2. But like I don't really like, Garfield came out the same week, but yeah, like I think it's just gonna get pushed out because it's not doing anything, not because other movies are
Oh
necessarily
no, that's
coming
absolutely
in.
what's happening, and
Yeah.
it's like already out of IMAX. And I'm not gonna act like I said before, Fury Road did not do that well in theaters. It became much more of a cult classic. That's where it made most of its money, was on VOD and DVD sales. And I think that there was a time when you released this 5 years ago. Like that's a 9-year-old movie, Fury Road, almost.
Yeah, it's
almost
crazy.
10.
It's a crazy thought.
If you released this 5 years ago, maybe even 6, I think this is a very different situation for multiple factors. One, it's closer to Fury Road, and everyone has that on their mind, remembering how fucking cool it is. And two, you're not running into just, I'm sorry, the problem that not all, there are definitely some diamonds in the rough, but most movies are running to in the theaters at this point, and it is unfortunate. I mean, I do think this movie deserves your time. I think this world is interesting and weird, and I do like it a lot, especially after playing the game. And the game captures it so well. I can't recommend playing that Mad Max game enough. It's came out around the same time. It's a random different. It's not Tom Hardy Mad Max, but it's
Kojima
another
should've
Australian guy. And I think that
George Miller was on the red carpet, and I think he was like talking to somebody about it. And like I sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're right.
But I had heard the game was like did fairly well, but like George Miller made a comment, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think it did fairly well. I should have gotten Kojima to do it." It's just the funniest.
he's like, I would love. Yeah, I think
What
he was
is a
like, I would love for
Kojima
Kojima
Mad
to
Max?
do it.
I was like, that sounds like actually a horrible idea, because like you'd be restraining Kojima so much by giving him an IP that already exists with like a vibe that.
See,
he
I would
make his
love
own.
to see him try. Like,
But that would
just
be
once.
interesting.
Yeah, I would love to see him try to adapt an IP, like just to see what he would do with something that's not his. Like maybe not under super hard constraints, but no.
Yeah,
and I think
anyway.
that just comes from George Miller. Like, and I don't mean to say this, who doesn't like
being bros with Kojima.
being bros with Kojima, but also like he's the theater guy. He doesn't know next to anything about
yeah,
video
yeah,
games.
yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure actually he's gotten
Who made the Mad Max game?
Avalanche Studios, which is I think an EA studio, if I'm not mistaken.
Avalanche,
They
like the
made like
people who
Just
did
Cause, I think, and
Hogwarts
stuff.
Legacy.
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
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 Man, no, I think because then they did they were doing Just Cause for a while, then they did that, and then they went back to Just Cause, and then they did, I think you're right, Hogwarts Legacy. But it's a really fun game. I was saying this on our last podcast. The driving in it's fun. The vehicle customization in it is great. The car combat's much more in depth than I would have expected. I haven't felt driving like this tight since a GTA game. I'm not going to lie. There still has its hiccups, but it plays super well.
Let's bring it back to Furiosa.
Yeah.
Do you know how much the final box office was? Like,
I actually Googled it. Hold on.
Yeah, I was like curious if you know. But like, again, like it's weird that like this kind of, there's like a cloud above this movie. And I feel like it is a good movie and it's fun. I don't think it's going to be like when we get to the DNNs next year, I don't think it's going to be, it might be in like an honorable mention, but it's not in my top by any stretch of the imagination.
We got to make sure we do the Luke Kenny review system too on these. I always
forget. Yeah. We haven't done that in a while. I don't think we've really seen a movie in a while.
No, but we just, even in general, I like to do these more on the movies. Yeah, I think the cloud is unfortunately because it's just like, this feels like the future of how movies are going to do right. Like this is a blockbuster movie in a lot of ways. They were marketing the fuck out of this. I couldn't stop seeing shit for this everywhere between their interviews and like standees and fucking bus station stuff. Like I felt like I was seeing a lot of stuff for this, and it shit the bed at a famously good time for movie. Like in the past, anyways, good time to release a movie, and I think it put a lot of snakes in people's boots. And I don't know. I hope this doesn't really fuck things over even further. But I mean, just the way with movie theaters have been going, I don't know, man. I really enjoy this movie. This is definitely going to be in like my top movies from next year. I think this is a top tier movie or top tier film, I should say.
I would say
maybe mid tier because there are some. I will say
high tier movie.
There are some questionable CG shots. There's one shot of when Chris Hemsworth is like driving in his truck and he's clearly like pasted on the windshield. It's like cartoonish. I was like, this is so bad. But yeah, it's a top tier film for me. I really did enjoy it.
A high tier film.
Sorry, yeah, high tier film.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said high tier movie. I'm in between mid tier and high tier movie. Also, for those that don't know, Luke Kenny patented review system, flick, movie, film, high or low, mid, high within those three. So it's like a 9-point review scale.
Yeah.
I think I'll stick. I think it depends when you get me on the day, but I think I'd go high tier movie. I don't think it's a film.
Fair.
I would think Fury Road, like again, I've only seen Fury Road like 1.5 times. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if I watch that again, where I think Fury Road is definitely a film, but like if it's low, medium, or high, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go because I actually think Fury Road is high tier film, so I think I'd have to go mid tier film for this, just because I think that's better. Just how I have to go on my scale. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think Anya Taylor-Joy's great in it.
I think Chris Hemsworth is
he's the one for sure.
I mean, like again, Anya Taylor-Joy is taking like the Max role, not a ton of lines. Like she does have a few moments, but there are a lot more dialogue sequences in this compared to Fury Road. A lot more.
I would disagree. Actually, I guess
really?
You know what? Actually, I would agree because you do get more of those scenes between demented, like barely. But yeah, I think you're right for sure.
And I do love the end of the movie where like she's chasing him down and I forget, like not corners him, but like
gets him on his
knees and is like kind of like torturing him and like
and he's giving his whole spiel about he's like, you're me, D. What does he call my little D? Little D, you're me, that's all you're ever gonna be. We're killers. It's really good.
Yeah, like strangely.
Like good. Philosophical.
Yeah,
That's why I think that stuff, there's a few parts in here that do just elevate it for me for some reason, and that definitely is one of them.
My girlfriend noticed something that I thought was pretty interesting that I wanted to make sure I brought up. So there's like a few points in the movie where there's literally no sound. Yeah. And she thought that was really profound. Yeah. Especially since these movies are fucking loud.
Right.
And then there's just like, I don't think that happens in Fury Road, but with this, there's just like,
it's
silence.
The
absence of sound. And it's like, it's a bit like odd.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ominous to not be hearing much of anything. Yeah, and I didn't think about that at first. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, I guess you're kind of right. When these movies are, the rev of the engine and explosions, you're always there's always like some sort of comeuppance going on.
Again, I think
sound
and music, especially in movies, are one of those things that like when it sticks out, it sticks out. But it's also just an unsung hero in the way of like you can almost forget it's there. But when it's gone, you notice it.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was watching, just a quick sidebar on the way. I was watching Top Gun Maverick again the other day.
Yeah.
And that fucking soundtrack, even the score, it's so
Hans
good.
Zimmer did the score?
Yeah. I didn't even realize that because I was watching the credits.
You did.
And I was like, yeah, of course it's Hans Zimmer. But it was really fantastic. I think, the music in this, I don't remember it a ton overall, I gotta say.
Guess who did it?
Hans Zimmer? No? Junkie XL?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So he is fully Tom Hulkenberg now. He dropped his DJ, whatever that Junkie XL.
Yeah. His music name or whatever.
You know what's funny? He has been. He's done all Snyder stuff, but like he is doing a lot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see him like be like under Hans Zimmer with BVS, and then sort of like really just be like being fucking the composer on Furiosa. That is pretty cool. That's a good credit.
No, that's a really cool credit.
And he's doing a lot, so it's cool to the Justice League soundtrack was fucking fantastic. The Speed of Force is like
it's awesome.
A track and a half.
Man. No, it is.
It's like holy shit. But is there anything else about Furiosa that?
I don't think so. I just rent this movie if you can. I like I said before, I can only repeat myself. I love this world. I love the odd, insane lore behind it. All these weird BDSM laced people wearing see-through, I don't even know, like armor, like a Morton Joe, or like even what is Rictus wearing on his face?
Wait, the guy who plays Scrotus. That's the dude who plays in the SNL skit Butthead or Beavis?
Oh, no. I don't think that's the same actor.
I think it is.
I don't think it is because it's the one. He's actually one of the war boys in Fury Road. He's the second one that Nicholas Holt's character is with.
He got demoted.
Well, no, I think it's supposed to be a different character because he.
Right.
Yeah, the idea is like
Scrotus
because he reuses a bunch of people. Chris Hemsworth's wife is in this twice.
Really?
Yeah, she plays the other girl when Furiosa gets captured and she hands her the rifle.
The mom?
Not the mom.
That scene, though, we did not talk about that intro scene where she's like
fantastic.
Chasing those three bikers who took Furiosa. That was cool.
It was. Yeah that was
like,
very cool.
They go into the camp and then, getting intro to Dementis and sort of like him and his like humble beginnings.
Yeah, and you see all these weird, odd characters, but
so
she plays the other woman that's with her that hands her is like go
in the
after
green
her.
place. Yeah.
But then
when the sirens go off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then she also plays one of Dementis's crew, like one of the notable ones, the woman who has like the weird slashed face at the beginning. She has like the crazy prosthetic.
Yeah,
and her face is all fucked up. Yeah, that's also Chris Hemsworth's wife. There's a funny picture.
So when I saw Chris Hemsworth in Iceland, do you think he was done Furiosa?
Yeah, definitely. I think they had finished filming that for sure a while back.
Okay, so that was
when
like
was
September last year?
Oh,
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
It might have been like just after he finished that. Yeah,
and it'd be like, "Hey, Dementis.
Hey, Dr. Dementis.
Little D.
Little D. That's Little D.
I'm from the future.
I'm from the future.
Your movie's not gonna do so well.
But you were really good. Yeah, I think that's it for me, Gooch. Anything else for you?
Trying to think. I think we didn't talk about like the very end with like the Let's Play parts of Fury Road and like.
Yeah, again, that just felt
very studio. Yeah, you're right.
So it's on the credits. And then it just starts playing, like as the credits are rolling, it starts playing scenes.
Like
from
if you
Fury Road.
if you didn't need to know this was a prequel, and that
I think that was an executive thing where they were like, well, maybe they won't know that this is connected.
I'm sure streams of Fury Road spiked.
Oh, 100%. And even we were talking about the name before we got into it. I don't think we did it while we were on camera.
Oh, besides me mentioning it when we started.
Yeah, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. It was definitely just Furiosa. And the studio was like, no one will know it's connected to Mad Max. You have to put Mad Max somewhere in that title.
I like totally couldn't disagree more. I feel like that name is pretty like imperative. Yeah, like hearing like I remember like watching Mad Max and like hearing like Imperator Furiosa and being like, whoa, like not again. Like I know I said earlier that I didn't care about Furiosa, but like the name and like it just kind of stuck out.
She has a look too, for sure.
We didn't talk about how she lost her arm,
dude.
Pretty quick and like. gritty and gory, but like didn't linger on it.
Listen,
that long.
I'm glad you brought this
Like
up.
her arm gets smashed in between the two cars, right?
That was another fucking thing that I was confused about. So she has the map on her arm that she loses
Right.
to the green place. And I assumed that she was going to cut off her arm so that no one else could find the map.
Or maybe like.
But then she was like, I need the
skin.
map. And I couldn't tell if she needed it to get back, but then she knows how to get back to the green place in Fury Road. Very confusing. But
Well, do you think maybe she like? I mean, there's a decent amount of time between the two. Do you think maybe she like kind of like figured it out again?
yeah, maybe. I don't know, go with the stars, but like I don't know. It seems like a weird kind of like, what are we doing here? But Gooch, I have never been more curious as to when someone is going to lose their arm since watching Hot Tub Time Machine. Where in that movie, have you ever seen that movie?
Yes, I have.
Remember, there's like the one bellhop when they get there in the future, he's missing an arm, and then they go back in time, and the whole time there's like 4 or 5 different instances where you're like, he's gonna lose the arm, oh, and they're like, God damn it, like fuck, lose the arm.
I think I do remember this now. You're talking about it.
But I was waiting the whole time. I was like, when is she gonna lose that goddamn arm? And I thought the whole scene of her putting the arm together and stuff, like her prosthetic, was very cool.
Is it the same prosthetic in Fury Road? Okay,
It is. It
I was like,
wraps around her. Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't remember like, or even like the hand, like the way it like
Yeah.
looks. Very cool.
Mostly
design.
practice, so they probably do like touch it up a lot with CG, but it is like practical. She has like a green screen glove on, and like they're hooked up to the things, and she like grabs it. It's cool.
Right.
Works very well. That it?
I think that's it.
All right, Gooch. Well, it's been a fun ride. Thank you all for watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your favorite service. We got a Facebook page, Discord channel. All that good stuff will be linked down below. We're on all your favorite social media pages as well, at Delco Nerds on basically everything. All this information can, of course, be found on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to DelcoNerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy. Vroom, vroom. We will see you next time.